So we are on air. Hi guys, today we are with an exceptional guest. We are here with Tony from Houston in Texas. Tony is a student here with me at PKU, and he's also a producer of a hip-hop genre that's Rage Opium. Am I correct?
Yeah, correct.
How you doing, Tony? Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm happy to have you here on my podcast. You are the first American guest here. So yeah, I'm very thrilled. Today we introduce a topic that's very hot. Everybody is talking about it, and that is the current diss between Drake and basically everybody in the hip-hop environment. So I wanted to start by asking you what you think about it. If you can tell us how it started, and then we comment it. We say what we think about them, what we like or we dislike about Drake, Kendrick, and other people.
Well, firstly, I think it's probably one of the best things that's happened to rap music for a while. I think that rap music for the past few years has been somewhat boring, kind of peaceful.
You can
I feel
say
like,
that.
It's been kind of rinse and repeat. A lot of the music's been just kind of the same thing, and I feel like this beef has brought like a fresh competitive nature or fresh competitive atmosphere for rap music. And I believe it started, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it started with a couple of subliminals that happened over the years between like Drake and Kendrick.
Yeah, definitely.
And over time it just kind of boiled up, and after a while it started beginning to do more and more obvious disses. For example, First Person Shooter was, I believe, aimed at Kendrick because he didn't want to be on it. And then, of course, in Future and Metro Boomin's album, We Don't Trust You, he had his verse on Like That, where he directly called out Drake. And that's how I believe this verse v verse war started. And a lot of people started picking sides. Like, for example, The Weeknd, I believe, is against Drake. I believe The Weeknd dissed Drake a couple of times, but for other reasons,
even though
A$AP
he's
Rocky,
not in a hip-hop environment. I mean, he's a pop singer, basically. But yeah, I agree. I think that the main cause is that at first Drake somehow helped Kendrick to emerge, to come out in the scene. However, even though Drake has always had more streams than Kendrick had always more fame. You know, he's a better lyrician. His prizes have been more important. I'm gonna ask you. I think if you go to a manifestation, a Black Lives Matter manifestation, you don't hear Drake's songs. You hear Kendrick Lamar songs, and I think that matters more than streams. And I think Drake somehow was jealous of his child growing up and outcoming him.
I honestly think that Kendrick Lamar is kind of like in his own lane, and I feel like he felt disrespected by being thrown into this grouping of like a big three with like J. Cole and Drake, because he just felt like he was kind of like in his own lane and being associated with those people, even though like they're his friends. It was like kind of disrespectful to him. And I understand like that mindset as an artist, but I do think that Drake in a way feels disrespected because he gave most of these people their first start. Like, for example, he gave Kendrick his first start, he gave A$AP Rocky, he gave The Weeknd his first start, and he gave a lot of these people notable hits. But I think one thing that Kendrick touched on a lot was that he's kind of a culture vulture, and the more and more he brings it up, I'm like beginning to see what he's talking about, like always going to Atlanta and collaborating with these artists to, I guess, further compliment his image that he's trying to make as like an American black man, which he's not. And I really thought about that for like a long time, like after he said it, because I like went back to his old records and went through it. I feel like he started off as kind of like a really open guy. Like if you go to like his earlier works, like Thank Me Later, he was talking a lot more about like his emotions. And even though he had his connections with Lil Wayne and those type of people, he was more, I guess, humble and hungry and happy to be there. But I feel like later on across his career, he became like the Slaughter Gang CEO, which he calls himself. And I feel like that's not a good representation of like where he's from and what he came from.
I agree. Like, if you have a dinner with a girl alone in a stadium, you remember that.
Yeah.
you cannot act gangster. You're just a lazy rich kid. That's what you have become, in my opinion. You're not gangster anymore. And I mean, you're Canadian, you're biracial, so I really can't see the point of him trying to be in the circle of really real OG people that were like, for example, Tupac, Notorious, or that today people like Kendrick are. So I don't know, it sounds strange, but I have to say something positive about Drake. That is, when he sings that for example, Rick Ross, the top positions in the charts, he reached it with Drake's. That's true. Like, if we speak only about numbers, Drake is the best so far. Only about data, and that's something we can only agree on that.
I think that purely numbers, of course. Like, there's no way you can just like diminish Drake's achievements. I think he's a phenomenal artist. I listen to a lot of Drake myself, and I think he's by far probably the most versatile rapper we've ever seen. Or I don't even like just consider him a rapper, just artist. I mean, he can sing. Like, what?
I agree.
What can he not do? I feel like Kendrick's role is more limited in like the rap spectrum of music, and I feel like Drake could just do a little bit of everything. And like overall, he's a pop star, pop legend at that.
That's so true. He's a pop legend. I agree. Like, I agree. Like when Kendrick Lamar says, "Oh, I am Prince, you are Michael Jackson." I think that's a perfect comparison because Drake right now I think can aim to have the same weight that Michael Jackson did have. So now I want to go into the specific because Drake has moved some serious critics. Also, that can be very, very important for you that you are a producer. Like, I really didn't like when he criticized Metro or just go back to your drums, just go. Because in trap music and hip hop, beats are so fucking important.
Yeah,
that's the basis. How did you feel when you heard that?
I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty hilarious. I couldn't help but laughing. But I do think that there's a role that needs to be played in kind of like rap beefs and rap disses. And I feel like Metro Boomin was a catalyst for this rap beef. So I can understand his frustration and like, especially bringing Future on his team with him was like, I would say it was like a low blow. So I can understand why just go back to making beats. But there's no harm in it. Like think about it, like he just released a diss beat to Drake, and it was called like BBL Drake, and it was fire. Like I can't lie, like it was like a good beat, and he asked people to rap over it. The best verse, like you get the beat for free or something like that. So it was, I think that was a great response from Drake, but I feel like all these responses, even from like Drake and Kendrick, like they're back and forth, just flipping things about each other. Like if he says like, "Oh, you want me to go make some drums?" He's gonna make some drums, and they get people to rap over it, dissing him. You know?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of this diss war is just like people flipping narratives on each other.
Yeah. So far, which statement do you think hurt the most? Like to me, if you ask me, Future has been completely obliterated by Drake pointing out how much more famous he is. Like if you ask in Italy, most of people don't know Future. Everybody knows Drake. To me, that was the most hurtful statement so far. Which bar did you think was the most impressive?
Well, I would say going off what you just said, I do think that's a very big thing. Like Future's not very like worldwide. Like you said, you can't get booked to Japan. Like I remember you said that. I was like, yeah, that's true. Like Future is not getting booked to Japan. Like if I talked about Future down here to someone in China, they'd be like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
If I said Drake, they'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, one dance, oh yeah, God's plan.
But I definitely think like in the streets, like at least like Atlanta, like Future's really, really big. There's some people you can't tell them in Atlanta that Future's not bigger than Drake. Like there's certain people, because he's been in the game before streaming services. Like he's been in the game since you had to go to the store and buy a mixtape. You know, so I feel like he's already established a name for himself in terms of rap music and trap music. But it was kind of a diss. He's like, yeah, you guys cannot get booked out here. I think the most notable bar in the diss for me was probably Kendrick. That did you listen to the Not Like Us most recent Kendrick diss?
Wait, you mean the one after Euphoria and 16 LA, the one after them?
No, the one after that was Meet the Grams.
Okay.
Where he accused Drake of having a second child.
Ah, okay. No, okay, I get it.
Which
yeah.
that was like a bit disturbing. I'll be real. Like he did say some things I didn't agree with, like saying that Drake should die. Like that was a little like that. That's when I feel like the rap beef became like a little more than just like a friendly competition.
Yeah,
it started to become like I don't know. Like I don't really think that wishing someone should die on a song and then posting it to the public is like a good thing. And I feel like that did kind of hurt Kendrick Lamar's image in a way of being like this activist, this outspoken individual.
That's so true. Yeah. I think also Kendrick Lamar has a much stronger reputation than Drake to lose, because Drake makes songs to be played at the clubs mostly. Okay, Kendrick Lamar is much more insightful. He really delves into the intricacies of human mind. Therefore, I feel like when Drake accuses him to beat his wife, that's why. Like I really changed my mind about Kendrick Lamar, because I couldn't even imagine that he would do something so horrible. So that was very hurtful.
I do think that Kendrick has not responded to these claims.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I do think that it's there is some truth to it, but I don't know if it's the way that he's saying it is. I think that his comments about his bodyguard Dave Freeze, or like longtime friend Dave Freeze, and his babies, and like not singing for the past 6 months, like it did like open my eyes to like what's really going on in Kendrick's life. But despite that, I feel like everybody has their problems, and I feel like that's an issue that he could I don't know, dive further into it. Is like future albums. Like I'm excited to see like how he answers to these things in his future albums.
He has to take the chance to still be into a part of this diss.
And I feel like these disses are just so personal. They're very, very personal. But I feel like recently, especially in the last diss I was just talking about, it became more of like I feel like the claims that Drake is getting are more how do I explain it? Or more damaging to his personal image, like to the world, than a lot of the things they're saying about Kendrick.
Yeah, I perfectly agree on that.
Like I had no idea about his relationship with minors, like hanging out like that. There's no.
Yeah,
like, They always deny like, oh, we didn't do anything. Like, we were younger.
We are only talking about songs, of course. Like that's also some lawyer's job. Okay, we're not. We are only commenting the lyrics, of course. We have no proof of anything.
But as I dive deeper into it, it was like kind of strange, you know, like a little strange. And I feel like we're uncovering a lot of secrets about like each one of these artists. It's kind of unsettling. It's like it's almost like I wish like it didn't happen. Like I wish I just had this image of like both of them. That's why I feel like many people see it on the internet. I say like J. Cole's the real winner, but
no, I disagree on that. Like J. Cole, basically, he was the one starting this, because he said, okay, it's me, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar. We are the three kings. And then Kendrick Lamar was like, no, I am the best. There is only me. And then J. Cole didn't answer to that. He got out. And to me, like, if you have balls, you have to answer to that.
I'm gonna be real, he did answer, but it was like really bad and he took it down from streaming services. But I just don't feel like that's J. Cole's realm. I don't feel like that represents him as a rapper. I don't feel like that's what he's best at, is dissing people. I feel like he's a very introspective person. And he's clearly a lot more peaceful than Kendrick Lamar. I honestly thought that J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar are kind of on the same wavelength. Okay. But the more this happens, the more I'm like, okay, these guys are not on the same wavelength.
I get it.
I do think like these disses speak volumes to where these people are mentally. I feel like I feel like Kendrick Lamar like has a lot more hatred in his heart than previously thought.
Yeah, I hate you for how you dress and how you talk. You are so right.
And I do think that Drake has much more of an ego than I thought before. Like we all do. Drake kind of had an ego.
I mean, we all knew that.
But I feel like in his latest disc where he was just like, I'm too rich and famous to get with kids. It was just like, what? And I feel like it's just kind of, I don't feel like it was a good response to the narrative of him being with minors. And I also feel like Kendrick not responding to these claims of him beating his wife just kind of, and him just like being more mean, just kind of speaks volume about his character too.
Okay. Do you think it's true that Kendrick Lamar's, for a period of his career, owed approximately 50% of his earnings to his label? Do you think that's true, that he was so scammed from this point of view?
I mean, I believe so. A lot of these deals that these artists have earlier on in their career, they're just trying to make it into the industry. And the only real way to make it to the industry, especially back then, before there was TikTok, before there was all these other ways to do it on your own, you had to have these labels to push out your music. And I feel like he took a bad deal at the start, and they probably did take 50% of his earnings, but I feel like that happens to a lot of artists earlier in their career. Like, for example, Lil Wayne, and even Drake himself. Like,
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Drake was signed to Lil Wayne, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was signed to Lil Wayne, and then Lil Wayne was under Birdman, and Birdman was like not giving anybody money. That'd be like at the start of his career. So I feel like that's kind of more of an issue in the music game. And I feel like that's something that we didn't know about Kendrick, like the way his splits were working, the way like the money was coming in. So it seemed like he didn't necessarily make as much as we thought he made off of those earlier albums. But I feel like flaunting money, in a way, isn't the best response. I feel like it just kind of like speaks more on the ego,
yeah,
you know? But
okay.
I feel like they're both rich, they're both successful.
Yeah.
But
to a certain limit, you don't care anymore.
It did speak volumes to his label situation that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
Like him doing verses with Taylor Swift and Maroon 5. Maroon 5? Like what? Okay, like Maroon 5 is a good band.
Oh,
don't get me wrong. Taylor Swift's a good artist, but I don't think Kendrick Lamar like is in that realm of artistry.
Can I say Bad Blood with Taylor Swift? It is a great song. Kendrick Lamar has a great beat. He raps so damn well in that song. I don't know if he was forced to do that by his label. That's a pretty good banger, and I'm so happy they actually did that. I don't care if it's pop, he sold his soul. It's a huge hit, and I like it. I don't know how you take that.
Look, I think that I think Kendrick's probably good on any beat. I don't really think you could go wrong with the Kendrick feature. Other than probably, the one Kendrick feature I didn't like was probably Goosebumps. I didn't like Goosebumps. You know, the Kendrick feature for Travis Scott?
I didn't know there was a feat. I thought it was a solo. I think Goosebumps is just with Travis Scott.
It was just Travis Scott? I feel like as a Houston native, I feel like I should know this. I feel like
I trust you on that, for sure.
I think he had a verse. I don't think I like that. That's probably the only Kendrick verse I didn't like. So I can understand when you be like, I don't think Kendrick really misses with Travis's lyricism and his delivery on any type of song. But I don't think that like those features were necessarily his vision.
Okay, yeah.
I definitely think the label had something to do with him like having to do those features, and that's why I think Drake spoke on it. I think Drake has a lot more like financial freedom. Well, not just financial in musical freedom than Kendrick does.
Okay.
But I feel like the topics that Kendrick touches in his albums are much more meaningful.
Yeah,
and much more of
agree.
substance than Drake's album.
How to Pimp
not
a
to
Butterfly
say it's not bad music.
Is, to me, one of the greatest albums of hip-hop era.
I think they both have amazing albums. Like I love Drake's albums.
Sorry guys, they were taking a picture of us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like I honestly love Drake's albums. I remember the first song I had on my iPod when I was like in third grade was "Up All Night" with Drake and Nicki Minaj. I think it had Nicki Minaj on it. Then I had like "Ball" by T.I., but I was like a huge Drake fan back then. So I didn't get like Kendrick Lamar until maybe like middle school, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like both of their music has their own place, their own time.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not gonna listen to Kendrick Lamar when I'm about to go to like. I'm not about to listen to to Mother I Sober,
Okay.
where I like try to get hype.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, there is a proper situation for each singer. I want to ask you one last question about, and I'm curious about your opinion of Kendrick Lamar accusation of Drake using authors and ghostwriters. In particular, I'll tell you why. I think when you become very famous and very important, it is a good thing that actually you collaborate with lyricists and poets that actually can be. She's still taking
Yeah,
pictures.
she's still taking pictures of us, but it's
Because, yeah, guys, you must know that like when I go around with Tony, everywhere, not only in Beijing but in China, they took random pictures and videos of him without asking for his permission.
I mean, I understand. They probably haven't seen anybody like me in their lives, so I don't usually pay any mind to it unless I like ask them to stop and they won't stop. Like there's been times where they've asked them, I've like asked them to stop, and they just like will not stop recording me.
That's so pissing. How do
Yeah.
you react then? You just keep calm and say,
I mean,
ignore that.
I mean, I can't lie. There's a couple of times where I crashed out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
been a
yeah.
couple of times where I was like, "Yo, chill." But for the most part, I just try to take it as like curiosity. You know what I mean? For the
Yeah,
most part,
yeah,
I
I
just try to
get
take
it.
it how it is. But I feel like so far here, my time in Beijing has been pretty pleasant.
Yeah,
Definitely
Greatest
meaningful
time
and
ever.
good time.
I completely agree. So yeah, coming
What was your question?
about authors and ghostwriters. What's your opinion about it?
Look, I feel like we definitely gets like a certain level of like the music game, especially like as Taylor Swift. Like you're gonna have a couple of ghostwriters. I just think that I feel like in the rap game it's a little different. I feel like there's an element of authenticity that I feel like earlier, like back in the day, the rap game, that was important. That
Okay.
people were like, oh, there can't be like any lies to your rap music. There has to be your rap music. So I feel like, in my opinion, I think it's a thing of the past. I feel
Yeah.
like authenticity and
I get
like
it.
ghostwriting is kind of a thing of the past. Especially when you're at that level of music, but I can understand from Kendrick's standpoint and his like lyrical prowess
Yeah.
to where like being considered with someone that has like ghostwriters and stuff to his art is like I can understand why that would be disrespectful.
Yeah, it's a matter of honor. I get what you're saying. So, thanks. And last statement. How do you think this will conclude? Give us a prophecy, a prediction.
Look, I really don't think anyone's gonna win from this. I think it's honestly, I think it's nearing a close. I don't think there's gonna be much more said as long as like I don't really know how much Kendrick has in the tank. Like he keeps saying he
Okay.
has more things to talk about, but honestly, I don't really think there's much more to be said. I feel like it's gonna be kind of drawn out. But I don't know. It seems like the world is on Kendrick Lamar's side.
Yeah, I
It
agree
seems
on
like
that.
the more and more these disses come back and forth, especially with the last diss that he drops. I forgot the name of it, but it just seems like a lot of people are siding with Kendrick Lamar on this. So I feel like if it goes on, I feel like it goes on any longer,
I agree on
probably Kendrick. But
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's really winning this.
that. I side with Kendrick.
But I will say it's very entertaining. I feel like
Yeah,
it's
for
the first thing. When I open up my phone, I check if somebody's dropped because I gotta be updated.
Finally, someone is taking the charts from Taylor Swift. I love you, Taylor, but finally, some new names. I mean, so Tony, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to hear your opinion on that, and see you around.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to be here. I was happy to be a part of this podcast. A lot of fun.
Thank you.